Hey, this is Sarah, back with another episode of Strictly Sickly. Today we will be interviewing my friends Allie and Zack about their relationship. Say hi.
Hi.
Hello.
So I'm going to ask a few questions, and then Allie's got some questions she's going to ask. So my first question is, how long have y'all been together?
We've been together about two and a half years now.
Yeah, almost 2.5.
Something like that.
Yeah.
And Allie, give us a short reminder of what you have.
I have polycystic ovarian syndrome, PCOS, endometriosis, and I was diagnosed with fibromyalgia.
Okay, so endo, PCOS, and fibromyalgia.
Yes.
Okay, so what are your questions for Mr. Zack here?
Okay. So my first question that I have for you,
Okay.
is what do you know about my illness? Not just from what I complain about all the time.
Short answer, almost nothing. Most of the things that I've learned about any of the illnesses that you have are solely through talking to you. You know, that's about it.
Okay.
I mean, have you gone to any... I mean, I know you've gone to doctor's appointments.
Yeah. I mean, we've talked about how different treatments to do for, you know, the symptoms that she has. But, you know, as far as, like, in-depth knowledge of the disease itself or anything like that.
So no in-depth in WebMD searches
No.
to scare yourself?
No, not at all. I'd be terrified if I did that.
Yeah, probably.
You're like, oh my god, you have all the cancer. Okay, so as my partner, what are the biggest challenges? As my partner, what are the biggest challenges and what are the easiest to handle?
Okay. Easiest to handle of any of the symptoms that you have would be your laziness, kind of, or how tired. That's a bad way to word it, but how tired you get. Because I tend to be lazy, so it's really easy to just lay in bed with you all day and not worry about anything and just watch Netflix. The most challenging, knowing I can't do anything. Basically, when you've had your flare-ups before the Zoladex and everything, you would have flare-ups every once in a while, and those flare-ups would be easily the most frustrating thing, because I'd be waking up at 2 in the morning with you, and I'd see you in pain, hurting, and do we need to go to the hospital? Do we need to go see a doctor? Like, what are we doing? And she's like, no, this is what it is. I just have to deal with it. I'm like, but that's not an answer. I can't do. You have to help me. Like, is there something I need to, like, massage? Is there medicine I need to give you? Do I need to give you water? And you're like, no, just, you know, deal with it.
Which honestly sometimes is the only answer.
Yeah, it really is, and I understand.
Yeah.
Which we've had that conversation many times. So I've been really open about my illnesses. The endo, the PCOS, the fibro. So from the very beginning, when did it actually sink in for you that this is like, oh, okay, so this is a thing?
How serious it was?
Yeah.
Yeah, how serious it was and that it was permanent.
Permanent still, I don't know. Permanence is just because it happens every day, like as far as your pain levels and the conversations we have and everything else. When it actually settled in with how serious it was, and it wasn't, you know, something that you were kind of over exaggerating on, was your first flare up. You know, that first night that we were like spending the night together, and you woke up at like 2 in the morning with like the most bloody scream I've ever heard. And I was like, what did you do? What happened? And then you just sitting there saying, like, it's flare up, flare up, flare up. And you like stormed out of the bed and just like storming back and forth, walking across the room. And I was like, this is crazy. I don't know what's going on.
Yeah, well, because like sometimes it's like, if I lay down, it hurts. If I walk, it hurts. But sometimes it feels better to lay down. Sometimes it feels better to get up and walk. There's just nothing.
I hate the fidgetiness.
Yeah, it's the fidgetiness, because like I'll wake up and like it's just like,
well, the fidgetiness goes into also the frustration for me, like, to go back that other question, is when you do have problems like that, or you're experiencing now like high pain or anything like that, you'll fidget around a lot, and you're just like, just go to sleep, there's something you can do, don't worry about it. I'm like, yeah, like, I'm going to go to sleep while you're moving around 3 inches from me. Like, that's not going to happen.
That's when Steven's really happy that he is the world's deepest sleeper. I could scream in his ear and beat him half to death. You know how he is.
Oh, yeah.
He sleeps harder than you do.
Which is a feat, by the way.
I was going to mention, because a couple people have messaged me, my phone is broken, so I cannot message you back. So if someone messages me, I'm sorry, I can't respond. I was going to say hi to everybody watching. People have joined.
Hi.
Hi.
So, yeah.
So, I mean, the permanent thing, I find that that's really hard for me to even grasp. So sometimes I wonder how hard that is for people who aren't experiencing it to grasp. That some of these things are never like, I even had a hysterectomy complete with my ovaries out, and I still have endometriosis. So, it's crazy.
I just kind of look at it as that's life.
Yeah.
I mean, what else am I going to do? I mean, it's not something that I don't believe you. I mean,
we can hope for a miracle cure.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
You know, we were talking in bed the other night, and I was telling her, because she was talking about the best she ever felt was when she was on steroids for a little bit, and I told her, like, well, that's the good thing, is that hopefully with that you get more of a cure. Like, you can find something that will last longer, or whatever. Like, kind of take baby steps to get there.
Yeah. Because, God, like, I still remember how it felt, and then the disappointment after, like, that's what's, like, sucks, and that's what sinks in the permanent.
Thinking you're getting better,
It's
and
like,
then...
Yeah, and then, like, a few days later, it's like, oh, nope, there it is. Like, you know, like, I can't get out of bed today.
And that's when I get my most emotionally is when I feel better for a long time, and then and I'm like, oh, yeah, that was forever.
Yeah,
and that's kind of how you were with the Zoladex.
Yeah. Because, like, I feel pretty good. Like, I haven't had any flare-ups or anything like that since I started the Zoladex. But I do know that it is coming back, and I'm scared to death of that day. Like,
And it always hurts worse when it comes back, because then you're not used to it.
Mm-hmm. You know, so, hey, have fun when that day comes. So, like...
It is
I've already gone through it.
It's like getting it all over again.
Yeah, like, you know, I'm scared that one day I'm gonna wake up and it's just gonna feel bad all over again. Like, it's just, I'm gonna just feel like shit for the rest of my life.
Yeah, David says, I really hate relapses. It's great when things are good and then the bad happens. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so, was there one thing in particular that made you go, oh, that was the same question?
Yeah, that's the
It was
same
like,
question.
Oh,
Yeah.
this is the thing.
That was usually the flare up, the first one.
Yeah. Knowing what you've known from the beginning, about everything, about, you know, the pain and everything, do you have any regrets?
No.
You know, still seeing me?
No. I don't have any regrets, but Sarah and I were kind of talking about this beforehand. A lot of it has to do with the fact you were completely open and honest with me from the very beginning. The second that we started getting together, you had told me, you were transparent about it. Like, this is a thing that I have that you're going to have to deal with to be with me. And I can handle that. Like, any knowledge that I have that I can kind of just build on and just know that it's in my head, I can work towards that.
Yeah, I was talking about how Steven... I wasn't sick when I got with Steven.
Yeah.
And see, I think that would be a completely different thing. You know, as much as I'd like to be like, no, I'm a bigger man, I can handle that. It's
So,
like, I don't know how much stress it would be to get used to one thing and then immediately have it affect, you know, completely halfway through.
So do you think it would have been different if I had gotten sick while we were together?
I don't think we'd be broken up. I think we probably would fight a lot more.
And it probably would have been rougher on both of y'all.
Yeah.
I mean, because
Yeah,
I know
'cause-
for me and Steven, it was really kind of a nightmare.
Yeah.
Yeah, because, I mean, anytime we get into a fight or argument, I've always told you, like, before I say anything, I always try to think about if the role was reversed. And if I can get away with saying it, or you could get away with saying it to me, then I know that that's something I could say. And if we're dealing with a new situation where you're going through pain that you've never experienced before, that you don't know how to deal with or anything like that, you're going to say some things. And then I'm not going to know how to react because I've never experienced that. You know, I'm still not experiencing that. And how dare you talk to me that way? You know? So I don't think it would have caused us to break up or anything like that. It wouldn't change where we're at now. But I think it would probably be a lot rougher in the beginning if, you know, when something like that would happen, as opposed to from day one, we've been transparent about it and it's been easy to go along with.
Okay. Alright, that's just something. So have you ever had a moment where you just could not handle it at all?
Zoladex.
Yeah.
I mean, that was the worst of the worst. You know, when you were going through where you were at, that was probably the worst point right there. Was
menopause is brutal.
Yeah. So for a lot of people who don't know what Zoladex is, I was given an option, like for my endometriosis, I was given an option of having another DNC or trying Zoladex, which is basically just chemo. It's like it's used to treat prostate cancer and low breast cancer. So I was given the option, and I would have had more time of being healthier with the Zoladex, and also more time to be able to hopefully conceive with the Zoladex, and so I chose the latter. And it threw me into menopause immediately, and that was a really, really rough time. It messed with me. I was prepared for the physical symptoms of it. I was prepared for the hot flashes, the night sweats, even the palpitations, everything like that. I was completely prepared, but I was not prepared for a lot of the mental stuff that happened. So when we talk about like the Zoladex, that's what we're talking about. I went through about 6 months of that.
Well, and there's a big difference, too, between... I know people that have gone through menopause naturally. There's a big difference between chemical, or, like, I had surgical menopause and natural menopause. Instead of having any time to prepare, it's just all of a sudden you're at the worst stage of menopause.
Yes, and...
Well, see, and I blame the doctors for some of that, too. Because when you decided that you were going to do Zoladex, we'd had numerous discussions over it before, what would be the best option, both of us wanting to be parents and talking about conceiving. And then I was with you at the doctor, and so the doctor made sure that you knew about the hot flashes and any of the physical stuff. They did not bring up any of the mental things that could happen at all. And that was a shock, I think, for both of us.
And I didn't bring them up, honestly, because once they'd passed, I kind of forgot about them.
Yeah, and I could see that, because it's just...
I blocked it out.
Well, it's also because you become a totally separate person. Mm-hmm. It's like, I don't think that wasn't me. That was something completely different. Like, that was...
Well, like how I explained it to you, it feels like you're a passenger in your own brain.
Exactly. Like, I was...
It's like being possessed.
Yeah, exactly. Because, like, I was not in the driver's seat that entire time. I wasn't... Until, like, the antidepressants started kicking in, and until the meds really started kicking in, I was not in the driver's seat.
And that's my recommendation for anyone who's going to have surgical or chemical menopause. Start the antidepressants before. Mm-hmm. Start them before.
Yeah. Because it's not fun. So, so when we talk about Zoladex, which it'll probably come up a few more times, that's what we're talking about. We could do like a whole thing just on that. So yeah, going back to the question, so that was the only time you couldn't handle it at all.
That was like the lowest point, yeah, where I'd sit there and say, like, I'm on my last leg, I don't know what to do. I've exhausted every option that I can even possibly think of, and if this doesn't get better, or something doesn't change, I don't know how I'm going to get through this.
Right.
Julie says it exacerbated her bipolar behavior. Yeah, I can see how that would exacerbate, like... I know I dealt with depression and anxiety before, and it made that go to a whole new plateau.
Yeah. When I've never been pushed to the point where I was pushed.
Yeah.
When I was on it.
When I remember talking to you while you were going through it, and I've known you for a long time. I've known you for like 13 years, and that's the worst I've ever seen you off.
Yeah, I mean, because...
And honestly, I think part of our problem, though, too, we were talking about moving in, but we hadn't moved in yet when that was all going down. Mm-hmm. So, because we moved in April, and this was all, like, around December, January. I think if we were living together, it would have at least been a little bit better, because I would have been around a lot more.
Yeah.
You know, because a lot of the mental stuff was you would be calling me up whenever, I'm at home doing nothing, or if I'm out with a friend, and you're just immediately assuming I'm cheating on you. And you're immediately like, I'm going to kill you. And then I was like,
And it does make you, like, it makes you, like, even with Steven, it made me paranoid. It made me act in a way that, I mean, you know me, Allie, that I never would have acted. It was just really, like, behaviors I've never even had. Mm-hmm. It was just really strange and unnerving.
Yeah, and, like, going back to, like, what we said before, like, it was unnerving because I can feel sober me screaming at whatever it was, you know, inside.
Stop.
Just stop. And, like, I remember one particular night, the night before I decided to take my ass to the doctor, I was leaving my mom's. I took my mom grocery shopping, and I remember, like, being at that Exxon over in Cleburne, just screaming at him over the phone, and then, like, verbally, like, saying out loud, I'm sorry, I can't stop screaming. I'm sorry, I can't stop screaming. And then I'd start screaming again. And then, sorry, I can't stop screaming. I'm so sorry, I cannot stop screaming. And honestly,
that was probably the most frustrating part for me, was the fact that it's like, because that was the thing, whenever you would scream at me, you would immediately turn around, you know, a half an hour later, calling me crying. And just like, I'm so sorry, I didn't mean it, you know, whatever. And it's just like, I know that you didn't. Like, I know that this is your, but how many times am I going to get yelled at and then apologize for?
Well, yeah, like I said, like, I couldn't stop.
Well, yeah. I do that in my head with Steven. Like, in my brain, I'm going, he's going to kill you if you don't stop, or he's going to walk out. You have to stop.
Yeah.
And then I'm just still there was no way to make myself stop. And it's a really crushing, like, I felt like I had no power. Mm-hmm. It was awful.
And yeah, David was in there, so I got stuck. Yeah, I was definitely stuck in a loop.
Yeah.
So I made the decision to go to the doctor, and because it wasn't just all that, like, I was, like, thinking at least 14 times a day, like, how to kill myself, or, you know, it's like, there for a while, like, I would only let Zach drive because I couldn't trust myself behind the wheel. Or because I was just like, because I'd be driving to work and be like, I could just turn the wheel right now and it'll all be over. You know?
Yeah, Julie says it's like watching yourself in a horror movie and not being able to save yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah, don't go in that dark room. Why am I still going in that dark room?
It's like, bitch, don't go in there. Like, so, yeah. So, I could definitely understand. Yeah, I can definitely understand, because that was probably, I don't want to say that was the lowest point I think we've ever been at.
Yeah, and like I said, I think it actually, in a weird way, would have been better if we were living together at that point. Just because a lot of it, I know I probably did not help with the paranoia. Just because I would get super frustrated, and I'm like, well, I'm not leaving from hanging out with my friend. You know this. You know that I've chosen this one day to do this. I'm not going to, rearrange my whole schedule, and I've tried to be defiant. Instead of the fact of, if we're living together and we were around each other every single day, maybe have eased it in some way.
Maybe. I don't know. Hindsight's kind of a bitch.
Yeah. Or maybe you walk into the dark room thinking that hoping something will kill you.
Okay, so where was I? Okay, do you think honestly that you would be happier with a healthier person? Do you think it would be better to be with someone who can, sleep all night without waking up in pain, or someone who, can do all the things that... This is going
to sound extremely cheesy, but if it's not you, then no. As much as, yes, I'm mad at the disease just as much, well, not probably not.
So you'd be happier if Allie was healthy?
Yes.
But not with someone else? Okay,
yes.
Yeah, I see.
Yeah, that's the thing, is like, we get each other on so many levels, and we're able to talk, conversate, things like that I've never been able to do with anybody else. And you're the only person I've ever dated who's had a chronic illness. So, yeah, being with somebody who's healthy, I've done that numerous times throughout my life, and they're all crazy. And that was the big thing that we talked about when we started dating, was the idea of, oh, I'm crazy. Like, you don't even know the people I've been with. If this is your crazy, I can handle this all day long.
Yeah, until Zolodex happened.
Yeah. Well, Zolodex was reminding me of all the past trauma that I've gone through with everyone else.
Yeah. Okay. So, does living with someone with a chronic illness make you see things in a different light? Does it make you...
It makes me more knowledgeable. I mean, I've, noticed things more. I'm more accepted of the fact that, I think about you first before just deciding like, oh yeah, I'm going to go out to eat, or I'm going to go out tonight. I'm going to go do something, and without even questioning it or anything like that, it makes it a lot easier to sit there and ask you first. How are you feeling? Is this something, it's always in the back of your head to be aware of. I can't do this alone. You're going to have to go with me. Are you going to be able to? So as far as like just the knowledge of having that and being able to, like, I approach situations differently than I would have before.
Has it changed how you treat other people who are maybe chronically, or the way you see them?
No. I mean, if I'm being honest, no.
How about the medical profession? Has it changed your views on the medical profession?
Majorly. Mm-hmm. Yes. There's a lot of things experiencing, like, just through y'all's conversations both, hearing her talk about her experiences and everything else, I'm like, that would never happen. And then you start kind of experiencing with her, and then you start reading up on it, and you start looking, and you're like, that happens a lot. Like, that is...
It does. Like, I mean, you would be really surprised. Like,
oh, I was shocked. I was absolutely shocked.
Like, what's one of the things that shocked you about the medical profession?
So I was listening to... I can't even remember what video it was, but I was like, I got actually really excited when I heard it, as mad as I was about it, just because I was able to tell her, like, this is something I experienced. I know what you're talking about now. It was a guy that was talking about his wife, who, she is a doctor, and she was sick, and she was like, you have to come with me to the doctor. And he was like, you're the medical professional. Yeah. Why would I go to the doctor with you? You know exactly what's wrong with you. Because I have a vagina. Yeah, and she was, and he immediately went into the room with her, and the doctor didn't even acknowledge that she was there, and was asked, so what's wrong with her? And was like immediately doing all the questions to him. And he's like, I don't know. I'm not her. I'm a comedian. She's a doctor. Like, and then that was one of the things that just kind of shocked me. It was like, it very much was like that, and it makes sense of what y'all were all both saying, and every conversation I had with you, with your experiences of, they just don't listen. And then you start looking up at different, stories, and start reading and finding out that, women die from heart attacks way more because it just doesn't get diagnosed. It's just said that you're hysteric and that you just need to go home and lay down. Yeah. As opposed...
Like, ma'am, chill out. Like, just go home, lay down.
Take an aspirin, call me in the morning. Really? Yeah. Is it the 50s?
Yeah.
Well, and it's crazy because 40 years ago, you just would have been thrown in a mental institution.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So,
for hysteria. Yeah, and I wouldn't have been able to check myself out. My husband would have had to check me out.
In a lot of ways, it's good we live now. We still don't get the care we need, but it's better than ending up in American Horror Story Asylum.
Yeah. So, I mean, I completely agree. So, yeah. I'm kind of glad you finally, understand.
Oh, I do. It still doesn't change my position.
Oh, I know. I'm glad that you kind of finally see my reluctance and why I'm always
oh, sure.
I don't want to go unless I'm dying, but even when I'm dying, I still don't trust them to even
And that's understandable, but that's the thing. I've always understood it. I've always just still been frustrated about it and be like, I haven't experienced it yet. You have to let me experience it. You have to let them, because I will raise a fit. I need to be mad at somebody. Let me cuss out the doctor, because if you're not going to go, then I'm stuck in this little box here, and I can't yell at you. So then I'm just like beating myself up when it's like, just let me yell at somebody.
Yeah. I mean, I do. It's just, and then of course my frustration comes in like, why don't you just believe me? Trust me, they're just gonna just let me lay down.
Well, that's always been the biggest fight we had, because it's always like, you don't believe me. I know, I believe you. I just need to yell at somebody.
Just let me lay down and die. That's what's gonna happen anyway. Just okay. So, what? I guess this kind of goes into what does having a chronically... Yeah, did I already ask that one? What does having a chronically ill partner change your opinion on it?
Yeah, you already asked
that. Mm-hmm. What do you do when you feel lost or unable to help me? Like when I'm having a really bad day.
I get really mad at myself. I mean, if again being honest about it, like I wish there was a happy answer that I could do. That I just go to my place and I'm better. No, I just get really angry, and I'm not angry at you. It may come out sometimes I'm angry at you, and I'm sorry for that. But a lot of it I just get angry. I get mad that there's something that I can't do, whether it's as simple as leaving the room and just giving you your space, or getting you a glass of water or whatever. Nothing that I do is going to help, and that is literally the most frustrating thing in the world, for me.
Yeah, it's kind of frustrating all the way around.
Well, I was gonna
say. So, okay. Are there any? Do you think what are the positives? So I know we've talked about kind of a lot of the negatives. What are the positives about being with someone with a chronic illness? I mean, do you see any upsides
to the illness itself?
No, of being with someone with a chronic illness.
I mean, there's tons of upsides of being with you. I don't, the idea of being with someone who is chronically ill, I think a lot of it's just finding the personality. I don't really know anything that's actually positive about being sick or about having those issues. I guess you could say being with you has led me to a better understanding of, how to conduct myself or how to approach you about certain subjects. But, I mean, as far as positives about the illness itself, screw the illness. No,
I think it's things you might have learned or ways you might have improved yourself by being with somebody with a chronic illness.
And that would be probably being more patient, which I don't know if you agree with that, but considering, knowing how I was before and everything else, I am more patient and more understanding of the questions I have to ask in my head before I can sit there and just bring them up to you or get mad at you for something. That would be about it. But even what Sarah was saying earlier, it doesn't change my opinion about anybody else. I'm still kind of an asshole. I still don't, I don't immediately think if the person in front of me is moving really slow. How impatient I can get whenever I'm walking somewhere. Yeah. I don't, I can be more patient and understanding with you and, do everything I can, but I don't when I'm out in the store, I'm just get out of the way. Just move. Why is this happening?
Well, I also remember, when we first got together, there were times where I just couldn't keep up with you. And I knew it frustrated you. Oh, yeah. Because I know walking...
Because it hurts me to walk slow.
Yeah, but I knew there were just times where, I couldn't keep up with you. Mm. And, since it's Zolodex and everything like that, I've had better days. There are times where I'm walking faster than you, which almost never happens.
Yeah. Well, it was what we were talking about last night. It was when I lay in bed and you were sitting there saying, it's weird. I have ankles and knees.
Yeah, I have ankles and knees, which, I used to, come home and...
Oh, the swelling.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the swelling would be so bad. So, I don't have cankles anymore, so it's kind of nice. So, all right. That's it for that.
Okay. So, I was, like I said, I was healthy when I got with Steven. Not, I guess, super healthy, but I was normal. And then when I got pregnant, it activated an autoimmune disorder that I hadn't had before. Are you worried pregnancy will make Allie sicker, and are you prepared for the challenges that might pose?
I am worried about it. It does scare me, but it's also something that we've kind of talked about in depth about we both want a child. So it's one of those things with the preparation that's you just have to build yourself up mentally as best I can to say, if this does happen, because I know she's expressed it to me, the worries from that she won't be able to pick up her child. She won't be able to do these things. If it happens, it happens, and you can't think negatively. You can't sit there and dwell on something that we don't even know if it's going to happen or not.
Oh, I can.
Yeah. Well, I get on her case for doing that because that's the thing. It's doing that is literally just stressing you out more, and it doesn't help the situation. We don't know what the future is going to be, and if it does happen, which yes, it's a realistic chance that it could, we'll deal with it. It means that maybe we'll figure out different games to play with our kids that they can be in bed with you, or we'll figure it out. We're not going to I don't want to just give up on the thought of trying to have kids because of possibly this may happen.
And you have a village, so
Yeah.
Yeah, that is true. I do have a village.
that's something that's been real helpful with my kids. Is if I'm too sick to do something, there's generally someone around who's okay enough to do it.
Yeah. So.
Okay, the really negative one, that there is a very big possibility she might not be able to have kids. Are you prepared for that?
Yes. Yeah, that's an easy one, though, in that sense, just because I don't have kids now. I mean, if I do want to have one, but, I mean, it took me to be 28, 29 before that thought even entered, because my whole early to mid-20s, I was like, I never want to be a father. I don't want to have kids. They're not going to wear me down. And then I hit close to my late 20s, right about 30, that I want a kid. Like,
Yeah.
So, it's never, as much as, yes, I want one, it also doesn't affect my life again. I can't live in that future of something that may or may not happen.
Yeah, Julie says we're dwellers. Yeah, if I could just not worry about things because it's useless, that would be great.
Yeah, no, but like I obsess about things.
So yeah, and that's the thing I get on your case about because I refuse to do it. That's always something with me.
But going back to and it kind of also touches back on the health, like if you wanted to be with somebody healthier kind of question. Would you want to, if I could not have children, like if I cannot have them, would it change your opinion? Do you want to be with someone who can give you a child?
No, because the only person I've ever wanted to have a child with is you. Okay. That goes back to the same answer.
So we need a robot, Allie.
Yeah, it's
yes.
like, I mean, I've dated other girls before that have said like, "Oh, I just can't wait to have children." I'm like, "You will never be the mother of my child. That is not going to happen. We would not get along. This is going to be a huge custody battle. Not going to deal with it." But we've talked before about the idea of when we were just talking about getting pregnant. I can see myself doing it because even if we didn't work out, we would both be good parents. Like we can make that work. So you're, again, that same answer to the same question. It's only if I can get along, and it has so much to do with the personality and the character of the person than it does the fact that you have the illness.
Oh, and if anyone out there watching has any questions, y'all can go ahead and post them, and I'll ask them at some point. So I know for me, one of the biggest issues with chronic illness and being in a relationship and having kids is I feel like a burden all the time, especially I can't work. Mm-hmm. What do you, because I know she feels like one sometimes too. How do you help her to not feel that way? I don't know if it's the best way, but it's the best way that I've been able to try to do it, is I don't treat her any differently. I don't treat it with, I give it sympathy, obviously, and help out if there is a bad flare-up or a bad day or anything like that, but I won't let it hold me back from anything that I would initially ask of her. Like, if we're going to go to the zoo, I'll say, or if I want to go, do you want to go to the zoo? Is that something you want to do?
I always wanted to go to the zoo.
I know, but it's anything that's active or anything that might cause stress or whatever, I don't treat it as, well, I don't know if I can approach this because I'm not going to like the answer. Like, I mean, I accept the answer, maybe no. I accept the answer might not work out in the way that I want it to, but I'm not going to stop doing that. She gets really mad at me all the time because I've always tell her mind over matter. Like, are you really, like, hurting? Or is it, like, just something you don't want to do and you're using your pain as the excuse to get over it? I like how I look on her face. Not in a negative way. Like, I know she's always hurting. I don't, I'm not trying to question whether she's hurting or not. Yeah.
I find my face in my camera right now. Dude, because I swear to God, if Steven was like, hey, do you want to go to Six Flags? And I was like, no, I don't feel good. And he was like, now, do you really not feel good? I'd be like, I'll kick you in the nads and ask if you want to go to Six Flags.
See, that's not how that goes. No, like, it's more or less along the ideas of, I've told her before, it's like the biggest annoyance that I have, like my biggest frustration when it comes to it is when it's something she wants to do, she always finds a way to battle through it, to get through the pain, to do whatever. But if it's something that I want to do that she just doesn't want to do, that pain starts really settling in, and then she's like, I'm just really hurting. I'm like, I wish you would just tell me you don't want to do it. Like,
Although,
I don't,
honestly, there is a difference, though.
Yeah.
If there's something I really want to do, it's almost like it's worth it to fight, even though I know I'm going to be miserable, and it might be...
Well, and that's what I always kind of mean with the mind over matter. Like, it's like, if it's something you really want to do, you'll mentally prepare yourself to do it, and, like, I know I'm going to hurt, but it's going to be fun, and I'm going to do it.
But, like, some of the times, though, you want to ask me, like, on a Sunday after we did something all day Saturday, and then it's like a Sunday, and I'm like, are you kidding me right now? Like, we did things yesterday.
But yeah, I mean, to answer your question on the burden, though, that's why I usually do that. It's like, I'm not going to stop, treating it like every day, like it's a new day. Do you want to do it? And then if you're like, no, I hurt, I don't want to do it. All right, well, then we're just going to lay in bed and watch TV today.
Yeah. So...
The only other question I have is, what's your breaking point? I mean, how sick does she have to be before you'd walk away? And Aaron's answer was when Kristen's quadriplegic and can't wipe her own butt. And
I don't think that's fair. I mean, if you're there for that long and it gets to that point, then unless that they were going to sit there and say, like, I don't want you here, I don't want you to have to deal with that.
Yeah, I don't want you there.
Yeah, and then that's fair.
Like,
yeah, if I get to that point with Steven, I don't want him. I want him to walk away. That's,
especially, like, if you're having to wipe my ass, first of all, I want you to kill me. And then I want you to walk
Baby,
away.
we're both probably going to have that something, I don't know which one of us is going to hit it first, but one of us is...
Well, and at some point, and it's caregiver fatigue.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
There are some points in which you really just can't take it. Like, as sick as I am now, like when I was so sick that Steven was having to do literally everything for me, I wouldn't have blamed him for having to walk away, because he's having to work. He's having to clean the house. He's having to take care of the kids. He's having to take care of me. At some point, that's going to break a person. And it wouldn't even be his fault. I wouldn't have blamed him for it. Luckily, I got better from that. But I think everybody does have a break. I just don't think you know it till you get to it a lot of the time.
Yeah. No, you really don't.
Yeah, the only thing I can see being my breaking point would be because I know your reluctance to go to the doctor. But if you were physically, like, on a daily basis where, like, Sarah was going through, where it's, like, noticeably getting worse and worse and worse, where you can't even get out of bed, you can't do anything, and then you're still saying, well, doctors aren't going to do anything, I would break. Like, at that point, it would be like, if you aren't going to help yourself, I can't help you. Like,
And I understand.
Well, in my
that.
defense, I did go to the doctor and they told me to shove off. So
Yeah. I mean, hell, like, I got to that point, God, when was that? Like, it was like, I was still living with you. When I wouldn't go because, like, one doctor basically told me to suck it up, so I just didn't go to the doctor for a few years.
You had gone a couple times for your back, and every time they did that same thing they do to me. Oh, it's fine, just do PT, it'll get better. And when you go every month, and you get the same answer, and things are still getting progressively worse, and I know when I'm in that situation, I eventually just give up because I don't know what else to do.
Yeah.
I can go to 5 different doctors, which is what I used to do. I just go to a different doctor. Maybe they'll have a different answer. And then they didn't, and I was just like, okay, maybe I'm just crazy. Maybe it's in my head. And when I start thinking like that is when I stop trying to get help.
Yeah. And so I just didn't go to the doctor for a few years. Like, I did exactly what the last doctor said. I sucked it up.
yeah, and it didn't help.
And no, it didn't. In fact, it just got worse.
And I wish they knew when they said stuff like that. I wish they knew the kind of effect it had on people. Because I remember years where I didn't go to the doctor, and sometimes now I wonder if I'd gone more then, if I would be in a better situation now. But I couldn't find a doctor to listen. And it's like they break you without even knowing they've broken you.
Yeah, exactly. It's just, do you?
Oh, do you ever get to the point where you force her to go to the doctor or hospital?
We haven't gotten there yet, no. I've always respected her opinion. If she doesn't want to go, then fine. The frustration in that, though, comes into... I do get to a point to where I'm like, I don't want to hear you complain about it anymore. If you are not going to go, because I'm willing to get dressed right now, take you, I'll call into work tomorrow, take a vacation day, whatever it is I have to do to make this work. And if you aren't going to, then I don't want to hear you complain about it.
Because I think Steven's forced me to go once, and Brad's forced me to go once.
Well, to be fair, you were actually going to die if you didn't.
Yeah, Steven made me go back with the vomiting blood, and Brad made me go with the blood clots.
Yeah.
And luckily, we haven't had that major of an issue. A lot of it's just been the flares-ups that are major painful that,
Yeah, and, like, I'm hesitant to go. So, I don't want to go and just be like, I hurt everywhere, and my hair hurts, and my toes hurt, and my fingernails hurt, and everything hurts. Because there's nothing that can be. I mean, what are they going to do?
Especially in the ER.
Yeah.
Because they're there for emergent situations.
Yeah, so, like, I'm lost. So, like, a part of it is, like, my reluctance to go is also because I'm just as lost.
No.
What are they, that's just, like, what are they going to do for my pain besides, well, here's some opiates?
Well, and here's the thing. I can completely 100% understand on that. But when you were sick, then you thought you had the flu or you had pneumonia, you were still refusing to go.
Yeah,
and I was like, no, that's not. I understand on the sickness of the PCOS and the endometriosis, they can't help you, so you're stuck in that situation. Pneumonia's been cured. There's medicines for it, and we can go
unless
and
it's
get
viral.
you.
Yeah. So, like, I mean, and I think a part of that also still goes into how far, goes back into, like, how a doctor will break you.
Sure.
Like, 'cause I can't even tell you how many, like...
Well, and you're right. And that's the thing, is, like, I fully agree. You can't tell me at that point. I need to experience it. That's kind of one of the things I've told you is, I do believe you. It's not that I don't believe that you've gone through these horrible experiences, but I haven't. So, for me to just hear it secondhand, it's not something of doubting you. It's just also... we need to go. Like I told you before, I need to yell at somebody. Because I know the difference with you. I'm with you every day, so I know what is a mild pain day, a heavy pain day, and I know when something's not right. So that's always when I get frustrated about it.
I also know for me, I doubt myself. Mm-hmm. Like when I was really sick with the endocarditis or whatever, I kept thinking, "Oh, this is just something. I'm just having a really bad flare." Yeah. It's just a really bad flare. There's no need for me to go to the hospital. I'm just being a baby. Blah, 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 blah. And then by the time I went, I was like, oh shit's hit the fan. It's all bad. It's all real bad.
Yeah, like the self-talk is, because that's probably the worst part. Because that's probably the biggest challenge yet is, getting over your own thinking.
Yeah. And the thinking you're crazy or the thinking you're exaggerating. Or, man, I'm just not strong enough to deal with this. If I was just less of a wuss.
And I think, like, some people... And I think that also might go back into, everyone's argument that we... Like, you and I used to run into a lot is someone always has it worse.
Has it worse. Someone has it worse. Why are you whining? Someone else has it worse.
Yeah.
Just because someone else has it worse does not mean that this still does not suck.
Yeah, no, it sucks bad. Like, it sucks really bad. And, and I do understand... Yeah, somebody's always going to have it worse.
Do you think when you go to appointments with Allie, has that helped her treatment?
Based on what I've seen, I would like to say yes, but I also know that the doctor that I've been with her to go see is the one doctor who's been really understanding.
Take her to, at some point when he has to take you to the ER, it will probably actually help you to get treatment.
Yeah, because... Yeah, the doctor that he goes with me to is really,
Yeah, he's really understanding.
I love Abacare.
Well, he was the first person, he was one of the first people that believed me.
Because after I went all through all my stuff, because he's the one that told me, he said, I don't think you're sick. Mm. He said, but I'm going to do a laparoscopic procedure. He said, now, if you're healthy, I'm going to tell you to suck it up and quit being a baby. Mm-hmm. He said, but if I find something wrong, then I will not stop until I've helped you deal with this. And I got out of that surgery and he was like, oh, you're just all screwed up. Yeah. Like, and he has never failed to be, like, he did my tubal ligation. Mm-hmm. My insurance wouldn't pay for it because it's considered a birth control procedure. He let me get it done anyway, knowing there was no way I was ever going to be able to pay him back.
Right. And I'll say this, even with Abacare, I would like to think that I at least helped a little with, like, the antidepressant. Mm-hmm. Because that was a big thing. The reason that you weren't on them from the very beginning with the Zoladex or before, because he didn't want to do it. He didn't want to do it either. He was very much of like, I just really don't think you need this. I don't think it's that big of a deal. You know, the Zoladex does make you kind of wonky and kind of crazy, but, you know, it's nothing that you can't overpower. And then after that last night or whatever that we had that was really bad.
When I wanted to throw myself off of a building.
Yeah,
that was probably...
You know, you going wherever we going together. And he was like, yeah, let's get you... prescribed.
When it was so bad, like, I didn't want to be around. I mean, I didn't want to be around you. I didn't want to be around Brad. I didn't want to, especially, like, I wanted to be around you. Didn't want to be around you.
You just wanted to hit me.
Like, well, I wanted to be around you, but then I didn't want to be around you, and then I kind of wanted to kill you, and then I wanted, like, it was just, like, you know.
Steven, do you have any questions for him? But, that's when being your own advocate is really rough. Mm-hmm. Especially because they don't believe you, first off. And second off, I think when you barely believe yourself, it's hard to get the point across.
Yeah, and especially, like, one of the biggest struggles I've been having, especially lately, is, you know, I still wake up and I still have low pain days, and I still have, like, days where I'm in pain. But it pales in comparison to what it was before the Zoladex and before all of that. Like, I can't remember feeling this good, and I don't remember feeling that bad, but I do know it's coming. You know, I do know that this is going to end at some point. And are you prepared for that?
I'm prepared for it. I'm more mad that you keep thinking that. Like, again, the same exact thing that we talked about before. I mean, well, again, it's going to happen. Sure. Stressing about it right now is not going to do anything. It's not going to help.
Well, yeah, but that's like telling somebody with a panic attack to stop having a panic attack.
Yeah, I mean, because I know that this is not permanent. Like, I know one day I'm going to wake up and it's going to have come back. And I don't know what to do.
It might be a long time from now, though.
I mean, and it might be. And so, like, and I guess the reason why I want to ask you if you're prepared for that is like what she said earlier. Like, whenever you have a series of good days and then the pain comes back, it is that much worse.
I can understand that. Because
I want everyone healthy around me to die when I'm like that. Mm-hmm. Oh, do you feel good today? I wish you didn't.
It's like, it'd be a shame if someone, you know, took a crowbar to your knees. Just saying. Like, you know, just a little bit. Just knock the legs out from under you.
And see, I wonder if it would not be easier if two chronically ill people got together, because...
I was actually going to ask, like, that was going to be one of my questions, was the idea of the same aspect you were asking me, was, would you wish to be with someone healthy or whatever? Would you wish to be with someone who was chronically ill as well? Chronic illness as well. Just because it's someone that would actually be more understanding of, you know, what you're actually experiencing. Whereas much as I can sympathize with you, I don't really know what that pain is.
Yes and no. Mm-hmm. Just because, like, yes, because I do wish you understood how it felt. Mm-hmm. But no, because that's like the blind leading the blind. You know, but we could also, like, be each other's advocate, and at the same time, it's like, I don't want to trade you for anybody, you know.
You
know?
Well, too, and if it's two people that are chronically ill, then you've got to wonder how you're going to be able to take care of each other.
Exactly.
And which is an awful thing to have to think when getting in a relationship, but I mean, it's there, it exists.
Hey, Summeroo.
But I was trying talk for a second. I had a thought. I was trying to.
You're trying to make a thought.
Yeah. So
sorry.
Talk about something.
Okay. So, you know, we've talked about, like.
Well, I can say the other question that came in with it was, as you know, kind of leading on that same topic of discussion, what is, as a healthy person, being with me and being with me as long as the one thing that I do that annoys you more than anything else, you know, as far as us being together.
Like, of course the mind over matter thing gets on my nerves so much, because, I mean, I've tried. You know, it's not like I haven't tried, but it just doesn't go away.
Yeah.
You know, but I think, and I guess it's kind of lessening a little bit just because you have become more understanding, like, living with me and everything like that is, sometimes I wish you knew more. Sometimes I wish you would I just wanted you to be more understanding to it.
Okay.
More than anything. Just be like, hey, read.
Now I
Please.
remember the question was, do chronically ill people overall get resentful of their healthy partners?
Yes.
Yeah, because I know there's a lot of times, like, Steven will have a cold or something, and I just want to, but I have this. And I know that's not fair, because pain is subjective, and if you're not sick at all, when you are sick, it's just as bad as when I don't feel good.
Well, I can say this, going on that, too, being someone who's, in all intents and purposes, like, especially compared to y'all, as healthy, I have arthritis. Mm-hmm. I never complain about my arthritis. I can't complain to her. I can't sit there and say,
see, that
my
gets
hands
on my
hurt.
nerves.
Well, I think you
but that's
technically,
the
because,
thing.
I mean, Steven has bad knees. He'll tell me when his knees hurt.
I tell
Yeah.
her when my hands are, like, really, really bothering me. But, like, on a normal day basis, like, she'll ask me, like, do your hands hurt? Like, they hurt every day. Like, I mean, I can't sit there and tell you that, though, because that's the thing is, it's a poke as compared to actually being hit over and over and over and over again.
And when I say that gets on my nerves, what gets on my nerves is I want you to, you still have the right to complain.
Yeah, I just also don't. That's also my personality.
I think what would get on my nerves about it is I don't want anybody to make me downplay my pain, so I wouldn't want anybody doing that to themselves.
Yeah.
I don't know. And it's not so much that I want people to complain, it's that I want people to understand that their pain is valid. And pain is very subjective. My 6 is going to be someone else's 10. My 6 is going to be someone else's 2. It is so subjective that they can't even rate it. I mean, it's an intangible.
Yeah, and I think part of what makes me the most resentful, and I had it for a second and I lost it.
We'll find it.
Okay.
Find it now.
Apparently, it's not that resentful.
And fuck you, Steven. I think part of what makes me extremely resentful is because, I wish you don't try to, like, be like, oh, well, she hurts worse, so I don't hurt. But yeah, you do.
Well, it's not so much. It's not. No, I don't sit there and think that. It's more or less of me just saying, it's like, if I was to complain about it, like, it's nothing compared to what you're going through. Like, it's a mental battle with myself. It's definitely like, you'd absolutely be understanding. Anytime I have brought it up, you're the first person. I'll rub your hands. I'll, whatever. Yeah. At the same time, though, it's like, it's nothing compared to what you're going through. So how am I going to sit there and try to make this a thing? When it's realistically, it's nothing on a scale of anything that you're going through.
When Julie says there's so much guilt in comparing pain.
Yes.
Yeah. And I know on my part, if I find out Steven hurts and hasn't told me because mine's worse, then I just feel like trash.
Yeah.
So he's been sitting there in pain and he has just been letting it go because I might hurt worse. It makes me feel awful.
Yeah. No, it's a pretty crappy feeling. Because it's just like, well, I wouldn't have asked you to do anything for me if I knew you hurt.
Well, yeah, and that's where I think we've come along a good idea of being just kind of, like today when you had your headache, you're like, your hands hurt. Like, not more than any other day. We're okay.
Yeah.
And she was like, well, then could you give me, back massage or rub my head? Because, I got a headache. Yeah, that's
like I
not a
had
problem.
like push on the pressure points on my head. Because, God, I was going to like just...
Yeah, headaches suck.
Yeah, so it's just... I don't know. But... Yeah, I get just downright angry at healthy people sometimes. Like, I just get downright angry, and especially, like, stop it.
Sorry.
Oh, see, I was trying to figure out what that popping noise was.
But, because even, like, on a good day, I still get angry. Because if I'm having a good day and people just seem like, oh, okay, well, you're better now. Or a day after having the good day, it's like, well, you walked around all yesterday.
Yeah, you were fine yesterday.
You were fine yesterday, so what's wrong with you now?
I don't think I've ever done that, though, because I think I've always been kind of understanding of the fact that if we're on our feet all day, like, I know immediately, like, this isn't going to be a good tomorrow.
Yeah, or like, oh my gosh, when we got back from Dragon Con, that I honestly should not have gone back to work. whenever I did, because like I was.
No, I kept trying to tell you not to. It's like, you had the PTO, take it.
Yeah, and like, I mean, I knew you felt like garbage.
I went into a coma for the next 3 days.
Yeah.
I felt fine because I was passed out.
But, or like, I don't know. I think that's probably where I get the most resentful is when people are like, well, you were fine yesterday. So, and I'm also like, I read an article that was like, it was on an endo site. It was like, I'm tired of apologizing for my good days.
Yeah.
It was like, yeah, whenever I'm having a good day, I want to do everything. And then because I did everything, the next day I'm like,
Well, and it's hard to know your limits, too. When I have a good day, it's hard to know when to stop if I'm having a good day.
Yeah.
There's no mechanism that goes, oh, if you pass this point, tomorrow's going to be bad. I wish there was some sort of meter, a spoon meter. And I don't know if everybody here has like watching, but there's that spoon theory where normal people have, 50 spoons to get through a day, and every spoon counts towards something. So it takes 3 spoons to take a shower. It takes 5 spoons to get to a doctor's appointment. Well, chronically ill people only get like 6 a day. So then you have to figure out what you're going to use these on. You might only be able to take a shower and get dressed that day. And, I wish there was some meter that was like, oh, you're using up tomorrow's spoons. Stop now. Stop now.
But when you feel good, it's hard not to. Like, aside from like the giant ass headache I've had most of the day, like I feel fine today. So, but that's not a guarantee that I'm going to feel fine tomorrow. Or I might still feel fine tomorrow. But
See, and I always just try to look at it as like your partner in that. Just prepare for the worst and hope for the best. Yeah. It's the idea that if you're having a good day, let's do everything. Like, yes, you're going to hurt tomorrow because we're probably going to do every single thing you can, but you might hurt tomorrow either way. So let's just do that, and then I'll take care of you tomorrow.
Oh my gosh, like when I was on steroids, I was like bouncing off the walls. I was like, I want to do this. I want to do this now. I got to do this right now. So,
Well, does anyone have any final thoughts or questions or anything?
I'm really appreciative of having me on here.
Oh, I really enjoyed being on.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I'm looking forward to Steven being on next Thursday.
Yeah.
That'll be interesting.
Yeah, that would
I'm kind of excited for Steven's answers.
I'm a little scared.
Nah, I don't think you should be. I mean...
Were you scared of any of the answers I was going to give?
Well, we talk about it a lot.
Yeah.
So...
Well, that's right.
Is that no?
Does it make you mad that I resent you sometimes?
No.
I didn't think so.
I'm used to it by now.
Tomorrow will be hurty, so you do all you can. And you never get to do stuff, so you better do it all now.
You enjoy it while you can.
Yeah. I mean, I've come a long, I think I've come a long way, because I still remember that one day whenever, I called my mom crying because I couldn't put up my laundry. And so, comparing that day to now, I think I could do more now than I could then, just because I'm getting the help that I needed.
Oh, yeah. Is today a good day, Allie?
Yes, it is. That's my niece. That's Summer.
Oh, hi.
Yeah, hi. So, Summer, I mean, do you want me to call you Summer or Alyssa Ann? Because I'm not gonna do that anyway, but...
Then why did you ask?
I don't know. Anyway, but yeah, I'm having a good day today.
Well, that's good. I'm glad you're having a good day for the show.
Yeah.
And say if no one else has anything.
Yeah, I think if no one, I don't really have anything else.
And of course, you can always message us after the show on the Strictly Sickly page, or if you're any of our friends, go ahead and send us a message if you have any questions. But me and Steven are going to be doing our episode, and then there's going to be one more after that on the significant others in chronic illness. So me and Steven are going to do ours next Thursday at 5:30. So if you want to tune in for that. And thank everybody for watching.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Bye.
Bye, guys.